Jump easily from JavaScript to TypeScript in this short and essential tutorial, which covers basic and intermediate concepts from scratch. Let's not waste time and go on. Remember that there are also advanced concepts not mentioned in this tutorial. Since TypeScript is an enhanced version of JavaScript, all code of JavaScript is syntactically valid TypeScript. However, it doesn't mean the TypeScript compiler can process all JavaScript, like in the attached example, where the variable is switched from string to number type. Despite the compiler errors, you still can implement TypeScript step by step. It is worth mentioning that TypeScript must be compiled to JavaScript because the browser cannot directly run it. You can ask yourself questions. Why does TypeScript matter? Maybe I will still code in JavaScript. Let's discuss the famous example of Airbnb, which prevented about 38% of bugs, according to analysis. Under this Reddit publication, we can find some opinions that can convince many developers to leave JavaScript behind and make TypeScript the so-called best script. Okay, let's stop the enthusiasm and go through coding examples. Start with setting up the environment for TypeScript using the shown command, then create and change the project directory. After this, initialize the node.js project. Moreover, you can also install TypeScript locally as a good practice. The last step before coding is creating this config file to manage TypeScript compiler configuration. Now, we can create a TypeScript file, the same as JavaScript but with .ts extension. In this example, you can see the difference, which is the typing of variables. Function greet has a variable name as a prop, which should always be a string. Compiling TypeScript to JavaScript is preceded by npx tic command, which creates index.js file in a project. Let's take a closer look at typings. We will go through basic and intermediate examples, starting with a boolean. As it can be seen, the typing variable is made with a colon and the word boolean, indicating to the compiler to only accept the true or false values. Otherwise, it will throw an error. The next basic type we will discuss is number. It behaves analogously to string, but with numeric values. This can be illustrated using a similar example to the one shown for the string type. Up to this point, everything should be clear. Arrays can be typed in two different ways. The first one is by using square brackets after the number type, ensuring that every item in the array is a number. The second method uses a generic syntax with the word array followed by angle brackets enclosing the type. As things get more complicated, let's move on to tuple. A tuple in TypeScript is like a special kind of list or array where you can have different types of items, but you must have a specific number of them. For example, you can have a tuple that is meant to have two items. The first is a string and the second is a number. Next, let's discuss enum. An enum is a way to give more friendly names to sets of numeric values. Think of it as creating a custom type where you can list possible values that are allowed. For instance, consider the colors red, green, and blue in an enum. Each of these values in the enum is associated with a number, but you can use their names to make your code clearer and more readable. When you are unsure of which type to assign, you can use any. However, remember that it is not good practice to leave the any type in places where it's just more complicated to type a variable but still possible. Another type, void, is used to indicate that a function does not return any value. It specifies that there's nothing to be returned. Sometimes, it's possible that a returned variable can be undefined or null, but TypeScript still has proper typing for these cases. The last basic type to discuss is never. In TypeScript, the never type represents a value that never occurs. It's somewhat abstract, but is used in scenarios where a function is not expected to return a value under any circumstances. This is different from void, which is used when a function doesn't return any value, but still completes its execution. In contrast, the never type is used in functions that never complete their execution successfully. Now we can see the example of the file, coded in TypeScript and JavaScript by following previously discussed examples. Stop the video if you want to and take a closer look. Pro tip for all TypeScript beginners. You can always ask AI for typing variables, even the complicated cases. Moreover, you can ask ChatGPT how to write a prompt that will be efficient in converting JavaScript code to valid TypeScript code. However, remember to not paste directly the code of your client if you do not have a clear allowance. Let's continue with the advanced types. Union types in TypeScript are a powerful feature that allows you to specify that a variable or function parameter can be one of several types. In this example, a number or boolean. Generics are like variables for types, generics. Let you write code where you can specify types later when you actually use the code. Interface is a way to define the shape or structure of an object. It specifies what properties, and sometimes methods, an object should have, including their types. Type aliases in TypeScript are a way to give a new name to an existing type. Think of them as creating a shorthand or a custom label for a type that you can use throughout your code. They are particularly useful for simplifying complex types or when you want to reuse a type without repeating its definition. Mapped types allow you to create new types based on existing types. They are like functions for types. You take an existing type and then transform its properties into a new type. In this example, we created the partial user type from the user interface, making every prop optional. It proceeds by adding the question mark after the name of a prop and before the colon. You can wonder now how to implement TypeScript in React. The answer is pretty easy. You have to implement gotten knowledge in React code. In this example, we just type props of a functional component. When it comes to hooks, you just follow the presented pattern, and after in this example, use state declaration, add the angle brackets, and type the name inside. React.fc or React function component in TypeScript is a type definition or type alias used for functional components in React. It provides type checking and autocomplete for common React component properties like children, props, and prop types. When you declare a component with React.fc, TypeScript will ensure that you adhere to the structure expected of a React functional component, including any props you define. Thank you for staying with me through this long video. Remember that if you want to become a modern developer, subscribe to the Modern Dev newsletter and link in the description of the movie. Till the next time.